Hello again, everyone. I asked Darren if we could just sit down and talk just a little bit because I know that many of you out there have questions about, look, I want to buy a house, but what is the process? What do I need to know in advance? What are some things that I can expect afterwards? So Darren, give us a little bit of insight because that's why you're the expert. So we can come to you and, we can get those questions answered. So if I'm thinking about buying a home, what are some of the very first things that I need to be thinking about? Whether I'm buying this beautiful home here at Palatial Estates or whether I'm just buying my starter home.
The first thing a realtor would want to know is, number one, if you're pre-qualified.
Okay. All right.
And you can be pre-qualified by having the cash in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
You may have cryptos to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you need to have banking approval, or we call financing approval.
Yes.
Now financing, a lot of people don't know, you don't just need, you can go through different sources. You can go to a bank.
Mm-hmm.
Insurance companies provide financing.
Wow.
You have the credit unions.
Mm-hmm.
You have owners sometimes who finance, and so they may be willing to do that. That's less common, but you do have some owners who are willing to finance. I just closed a deal where the owner was allowed the person to pay a certain amount up front, cover their closing costs, and so therefore they were able to finance over a period of 2 years.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So that's common for persons like realtors, for example, who may be getting a lump sum next year, and so they can do it. A lot of people ask about what about rent to own. We at H.G. Christie don't necessarily do that because a lot of persons lose out.
Okay.
Like the buyers, we don't want to be part of that.
Right.
They buyers, because what happens, you have to put down a large lump sum,
Right.
and it's usually non-refundable.
Okay.
A lot of people are excited about that, but they're not really qualified. So that's why it's important for us to know if you're pre-qualified and how much you're pre-qualified for. So that when you go to a bank, for example, they would find out whether you're pre-qualified, and that's very important. Your credit history, they now do a credit check. We have a credit bureau in the Bahamas, and they do all of that. Another important factor is we have this thing about exemption, having an exemption, the tax exemption.
Yes.
The government allows you a benefit, I think up to, for first time buyers, up to $300,000.
Right.
Now there are different requirements for that. I need you to come to my, I'm going to be having a workshop or soon about that.
Great.
We'll talk more about that. But there is also that factor. You can talk more about that. You need to have a lawyer. A lot of the banks require that the lawyers are on their list or are accepted by them. That may not be the case for a seller. A seller may choose who he wants to use.
Right.
Or if you have a particular lawyer, at least they need to be in touch with another institution, another bank, or another law firm that is affiliated with the bank.
Yes,
Because the bank want to make sure for the mortgage side of it, there are two sides of the transaction. There's your side with the conveyance, and there's also the mortgage side. And the bank wants to make sure that they have credible persons on that list. And it's basically to protect the consumer as well, because you have some untoward persons, etc.
Of course.
And so you want to be pre-qualified. And so when we ask that question, it's not for that we're trying to be intrusive. It's just like going to a doctor, and the doctor wants to find out where exactly is the pain.
Right.
Is it in your head, is it in your foot, is it in your knee? So that he can diagnose, so that he can do the x-ray on the right area.
And be knowledgeable about what you're dealing with. No one wants to waste time. Let's just be really honest when it comes to real estate. Personally, I love going and looking at open houses. I find them to be very, very exciting. But the truth of the matter is, when you really come down to the business, you don't want to waste the time.
Exactly.
So you don't. And the other thing is that you don't want to look at a house that you really can't afford either, because that's not a good feeling. Because then everything else tends to pale in comparison. So it's very important to be prepared on the front end before you start looking for that new home.
We have this wonderful tool in the Bahamas. It's called the MLS. It represents Multiple Listing Server. And so when I ask clients for that information, what I do is I set them up on the MLS, where you can have your own direct link to the MLS, and so that you will have access to information as it comes out. Why is that important? Many times I have persons who call and said, well, I just saw this house went under contract. I didn't know about it. Well, if you were in touch with a realtor like myself, who, for example, have a lot of listings, you would have had the first-hand knowledge even before it hit the MLS. And then another opportunity when it hits the MLS, you get another opportunity to see that stuff. So that's why it's important for us to have you set up in the system. For example, if you tell me or you show me a pre-qualification, not pre-approval, your pre-qualification letter showing how much you're pre-qualified for, then we can set you up, let's say, in the 300 range, or in the million range, or 200,000 range.
Yeah. No matter what your range is.
Exactly. Or if you're looking for vacant land, if you're looking for multi-family properties, if you're looking for properties that will produce income for you, if you're looking for commercial property, all of that we can pre-set up for you. Gone are the days when you just drive around the neighborhood and say, oh, I want that, I like that. I mean, you can still do that and ask your realtor to look at this house and see if it's available. And you do have some houses that may be just vacant, and you wonder whether it's on a repo list or on a bank listing. But the best, most efficient way is have everything listed on the multiple listing server.
Yeah.
Now you do have
Save
listings
one
that
time.
may not be on MLS. Now MLS, it basically, what it does is it feeds it to every broker in the Bahamas. So therefore it's good for sellers. The sellers get more marketability in terms of attracting more buyers, and not just one specific set of persons who may only go to a particular website.
Right.
You know, you have a wide range there. And so it's good to have it to be access that information as a buyer, and so that you would have exposure to everything in the market. And you sort of puts everything before you. I want to see all the listings on Paradise Island. I want to see all the vacant lands available on Paradise Island. And so it's
And
more
within a
organized.
price range, you can narrow it down
Exactly.
to what your price range may
Exactly.
be.
And I give you that access. You can manage it yourself. You can click and say, Darren, I'm interested in this, this, and this. And it makes the process more efficient.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
technology has really helped our industry a whole lot. And some people are fearful of it. I'm not afraid of technology. You're still going to need the person.
Oh, absolutely.
You're going to need the person because, we have the expertise and knowledge that you need to put all the persons together. You need to also to know that it's a team effort. I want you to understand it's a team effort. We have the bankers, we have the lawyers, we have access to all of the banks, okay? And each one has their own unique characteristic. And some people, for example, may decide to go with one of the Canadian banks, which require a higher deposit. Some persons may not feel comfortable with that, and so now some banks, two of them in particular, are allowing you to put down 5% because they have what we call indemnity insurance.
Right.
But when we can talk more about that. Then you have the insurance companies that insure your asset. Then you have this appraisers. You have to have your place appraised. You need to have it surveyed. The banks now require that it's properly surveyed and staked out to make sure that you're not encroaching on another person's property. There are so many aspects of this business, but it's a one-stop shop. You come to us, we connect you and help you connect all the dots, because it's a journey. And some people say the average transaction in the Bahamas for financing is 4 to 6 months. I've had a cash transaction that closed in 7 days.
Yeah.
So it depends on how prepared you are and the team that you're using. And so I'm here to help you get to your goal. And I hope that you will connect with us so that we can help you meet your goal.
Now, Darren, I have a sideline question that's really important. For people out there who are just wondering and they love real estate and they're wondering about the market, I know that you talked about how many different people that it takes. But when you mention like appraisers, everybody thinks that they need to be a broker, that they need to be an agent. Tell me a little bit about that appraisal process, because I think that for some it is a surprise when they start this whole process and you realize, like, wait, I need all these people to help me out. Who is the appraiser? What is that role?
When I started in real estate, I really came on as an assistant to an appraiser at H.C. Christie.
Okay.
It's in high demand and low supply. We had a few appraisers that died recently, and so there's always a need. And so an appraiser is the assessor. They would basically look at the market data, see where houses would have sold in recent times in a particular area. The banks require it because they want to know that their risk is hedged. That is, they'll be able to sell the house if you default in the payment. They want to know where they'll be able to comfortably sell this house. So there are different types of appraisals. There's the cost approach, the income approach. the sales approach. The banks use the sales approach where they see where they can sell it. The income approach will tell you how much money you can make on this product, this house, if you want to rent it out. And the cost approach is how much you would build the house from how much it costs to build a house from the ground up. All of those factors are important and help you to value your house. So you have the appraiser, which is different from the surveyor. The appraiser basically is the one who looks at the value of the house. The surveyor wants to look at the dimensions and exactly where exactly the house and the boundaries are set. Okay, so that you make sure there's no encroachment. And so all of these persons are very qualified, and you need them. Now, I'm agitating that you would have persons who would be able to be qualified without becoming a sales agent, but currently in the Bahamas, in order to become an appraiser, you have to do the sales agent exam.
Okay.
But I know persons who are trained and they're not interested in being a sales agent.
Yeah.
And so that's in high demand, but that's something that we're gonna have to address from the BRIAS board and also with the government, etc.
Yeah.
But I want young people out there to know that there are opportunities. You don't have to be a sales agent. You can train, you can get qualified, become an appraiser, become a surveyor, become an architect, can be a builder, be a contractor, be a developer. We have young Bahamians now who are developing their own projects. Coconut Cove,
Yes.
that's developed by a Bahamian. Horizon West, developed by a Bahamian, all my clients.
And then with all of those properties and all of those developments, there's also the property manager.
Yes, and so I want to talk about property management because after you get a property, you need to know how to maintain the property. And so you're the specialist in that area. Tell us about your business, please.
Well, my business is called Luxierge, and we do property management. And not everyone is buying a property to live in it. There are, especially here in our beautiful country of the Bahamas, we have a lot of people that buy properties for investment purposes or, for a second, home.
Right.
And that's where we come in. So we make sure that everything is handled for you. And there are different levels of it. We may, for insurance purposes, I think, a lot of people don't understand if you have a residence that is not where you're not living in on a regular basis. From the insurance standpoint, you need to make sure that that residence is checked in on a regular basis. Because, I walk around, I'm looking at the ceilings, I'm looking at the doors, when it rains, I'm looking, is anything leaking? Is everything working? Are the toilets flushing? Are the faucets working? Because, in the event that you have to claim from the insurance, you have to be able to prove that you were checking on it on a regular basis. And so it's really important. So it's not just from like the Airbnb standpoint, which I also handle, but it's just from a maintenance. So we always want to make sure, I'm sure you can, back me up on this, that maintenance is so very important when it comes to real estate.
So very important because it affects the value of the house.
Yes.
If you're not maintaining it, it could really cause something to deteriorate and really destroy the value.
And I always say that a home that is not lived in, when that toilet is not flushing, when those faucets and the water is not flowing through those pipes, that home can fall into disrepair very quickly, and especially in our humid environment where we have those natural elements, just kind of eating away at everything. You really want to make sure that you have, if it's not a residence that you are living in or someone is living in on a regular basis, you want to make sure that you have someone who is checking in on that residence.
And like in our country, we're in the tropics, and so for example, we're prone to termites.
Oh yeah.
So you want to have somebody managing that process in terms of if you live in the Bahamas, you should be doing a termite treatment program. In case you didn't know, you need to do it. You have a program where you can do it every 6 months, and it's not that costly. You hook up with someone like Stacy or call the specialist. There are several of them, and make sure that your home is getting treated. Just so you go to a doctor every 6 months or go to your dentist every so often, your home it's like a living person.
And that's one of the things that I think that people need to recognize when they buy a home. It is not enough that you just get in the door and get those keys. You have to think about the bigger picture, and this is something that Darren will walk you through in terms of being very realistic about what happens after I get the key. That's one of the things that I like about the services that you offer is that, you're there to kind of say, look, now you have to make sure that if you have a pool, you have to have the pool person that maintains that. Is your air conditioning system, are you checking on that regularly? Or like you say, the things like pest control. This is part of maintaining your investment, and so you're always able to keep your property. So in the sense, in the case of resale, you know, you're able to keep your property at a standard because look, we don't want to spend this money and then it just, you know, it's not enough to just get in the door. You want to make sure that you're investing that time and that effort to keep it up.
Right. And then you have persons who do choose to rent their properties. For example, they may not be living here or they're going away, moving to another island,
Right.
and they may not want to dispose of the property, they may not want to sell it, but then you rent it and make some money off it.
Yeah.
You know, and so it becomes an asset for you. And nowadays, I have a lot of young people now looking into buying income homes, and so you're securing your retirement income. When I invested in my home, I didn't expect that I would transition from banking into real estate. But so as nature would have it, or destiny would have it, I was without an income, but I had invested in an income property that took care of itself.
Yeah.
So the 2 units paid the income, and the other unit either I could live in there free or rent it out.
Right.
And so that's what that's the kind of decision making you need to make now, and think about it. So this palatial estates home, it is an income producing property. You can use it for a short-term rental or long-term rental. The owner lived in it most of the times, and so they had a long-term tenant. But you can rent this out, say $1,000 a night at least.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
and you can put the numbers together, and you value the property. And something like this, I would buy myself.
I'm telling you, I especially like that it's gated and it's in a cul-de-sac. So, you know, you feel the security. You're right here on Paradise Island. You can literally walk to restaurants. You can walk to the beaches. I mean, it really is a great location.
And when you're buying a house, you look at the types of homes around it. Ocean Club is right there.
Right there.
We're near to the harbor. Is this going to appreciate? Of course it
Absolutely.
will. Okay, of course it will.
Yeah.
And you look at each house for its own characteristic. This one is unique amongst the other 5 that even is in the vicinity, and its value has been appraised as such.
Yes.
And so I encourage you to come by, check us out at Palatial Estates or any other listing we have, and we'll be back with another conversation.
Great.
I want to thank Stacy so much,
My
wonderful
pleasure.
hostess. You're such a great help. I always love that I can call on you.
Thank you.
Refer clients to you, and I've never gotten a bad review. And I'm so grateful for all that you're doing, not only in real estate, but in the Bahamas, in the music world, and all that you represent.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to the open house tonight. It's going to be very exciting. We're going to have so many people that are coming through tonight to be able to, you know, showcase this property. And just remember, well, all the information will be there when you need to check on Darren when you are ready to buy your home.
If you're not able to make the open house, listen, I'm always available. You can WhatsApp me at 242-357-9003. No matter where I'm in the world, that's my office in my hand. And I'm on LinkedIn as Darren Seymour, Facebook, Darren Seymour, on all the networks, all the platforms. Of course, you can find me at HG Christie, our website, www.hgc.com. And then you can find me on my personal website, SeymourBahamasRealEstate.com. That's SEEMORE, BahamasRealEstate.com.
Love it.
So I hope to see you soon, and we'll meet either here or virtually. All the best.
Cheers.
Bye for now.
Bye.